And I was going back and forth trying to figure out what to do. And she said, she wrote on the paper, she put faith or fear, circle one. And It was that simple. And so that really like stuck with me. And I circled faith.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Manifest Wallace, and you're watching More Than a Dreamer. Today I'm here with Lamont Leak. He's a dope producer. He's the definition of perseverance, if you ask me. So how's it going, Lamont?
Man, it's going pretty good, Julian, and thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, I am like I said, I'm a producer. I work in television and film. So I do, that could be casting, it can be field producing, segment producing, talent producing. And then I also do have a company where we do music events under the live playlist. So then you have event producing. So, all different spectrums of producing. That's what I do.
That's dope. That's dope. So we see where you're at now in your career, but what was growing up for you like? Like, where did it all start?
Oh, man. Well, I'm from Detroit. I think my producing chops started in Detroit. I used to throw high school parties in high school. So like when I look at stories like the Russell Simmons and Diddy, all of them were high school promoters. So I started off throwing high school parties. I remember at like age 15, I wanted to be, 16, I was like, I want to be able to buy my own car. Mm-hmm. That's when you can drive without having a parent or someone in the car. So at 16, my goal was to have enough money to buy a car. And I took some time to figure out like, well, how can I like flip my money and what could I do? I had 2 summer jobs and I don't know where I got the idea to throw a high school party because I didn't even go to parties. Mm-hmm. I had uncles who threw like cabarets in Detroit. That's pretty big to go to like cabarets and things. And so I don't know. I got the idea came from somewhere. I threw a back to school party. It crashed. I mean, like literally lost everything I had saved up that summer.
Man.
I still was paying back people. I remember like weeks after the party, I was still paying back people. And I was slightly depressed about it. Because imagine at that age, 15, you spend your whole summer working 2 jobs, one for a law firm and an internship. And then I would leave there and go work at KFC till like 10 o'clock at night all summer. Mm-hmm. And, I graveled for about two weeks or so. And then I got back up and was like, okay, well, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
And so I did another high school party around like mid-September. And then that particular party sold out. Like we made over $5,000. I think the profit was around $3,400, and I was able to get, because I had worked with everybody the first party, I didn't have to pay people. I had money to pay them, but they just, my word was good. So like the flyers and the venues and the DJs, they allowed me to pay them off of the door. And so literally, like I say, brought in 5,000 and I was able to take home 34. And I went that next day and bought my first car.
And that was your second party?
Yeah.
Wow. So before that, like, did you always have a passion? Because you said that was your first, you didn't go to school parties. Mm-hmm. So like, what inspired you to actually throw a party?
Man, I've just always been hip to the idea of entrepreneurship, and I can go back to like the 2nd grade where I was flipping pencils. I'd go to the store at the corner and buy a pack of pencils for like $1 and there are 8 in there. And then I go back and sell each of them for 25 cents and then I make $1 profit. So, and then if it wasn't that, it was me at the Boys and Girls Club selling basketball cards. And I don't know if you remember, if you're old enough to remember when that was a thing, like, trading and having a good basketball collection. So I remember like at that time, like, you had the basketball cards and then selling CDs, making t-shirts. I even sold 8x10 photos because we had in the 7th grade, I had a scanner and a lot of people didn't have scanning capabilities. So like I had my own little, like, how you can go to CVS now and you can get like t-shirt made, so you can get stick on things onto I used to do all of that because they didn't have that service then. So I was doing that at the house. So yeah, man, I've always just been, my mind has always been wired to like, how can I make a profit, entrepreneurship? And so the party business I don't know, maybe, I really don't know, maybe just from like observing what high school people do, or
Yeah.
maybe like again, because I don't remember that I had even went to a high school party before I started throwing them. So I can't, maybe like the icebreakers. You know what? That's maybe what put the idea in my head. Like the high school, we would have icebreakers, and seeing how many people would come to the dances and how we all bought tickets and got excited about that. So I'm thinking maybe the high school dances that we had actually in the high school might have prompted those ideas.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think you got your entrepreneurial influence from? Like, was it your parents maybe, or?
Definitely my dad. Yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that. I mean, so my dad always had his own business. You know, as a kid, he had his videographer business. So he would do like weddings and birthdays, but majority like weddings, like every weekend. And so I would operate the cameras with him. My first time coming to Hollywood was because he actually got sued by one of the weddings that we did. And we came out to be on Judge Judy. And
Wow.
I probably was like, maybe like 11 years old or 11, 12. But he had me working the cameras at like 12 years old. So that was my normalcy. Like Pops he worked as a bus driver, but he had his own company on the weekends, you know.
That's dope.
So then I remember like, you know, my best friend mom, I ain't gonna put his name out there or her name out there, but I remember I go over there and like she used to sell like ginseng or something, like it was like people would come and buy the jugs, and then, you know, you had other relatives that had other businesses as well that might not be legal, that we can't talk about on television. But like growing up in Detroit, everybody had a hustle.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was my other aunt who used to make like the pillows with the crochet, and like, you know, different people would buy them to like match whatever the decor was of their bathroom or their living room. So like everybody just had a hustle. If they wasn't selling cakes, if they wasn't selling little pillows or clothes, like that's what I come from. That's the nature of Detroit. Everyone hustle. It's a part of the DNA fabric of the city.
That's dope. So would you say that like throwing parties and throwing events, you think that's your passion?
I wouldn't say that's my passion. I think so. My passion is bringing people together.
Okay.
You know, my passion is I love to create. I love to bring people together. I love to birth ideas. So like, I think the event space has been something that has been lucrative for me, and opportunities have opened through that. But for me, it's just anytime I'm able to bring creatives together and allow people to experience art and experience a moment, whether it's, you know, it can be a concert, it can be a speaker series, it can be a party. You know, it can be literally making a film. And the fact that people get a chance to come to see that, whether they're watching it at home, but like I love to create and give people experiences.
Okay.
And so for me, that's the passion, is giving people an experience that's going to somehow elevate, that's going to inspire, that's going to entertain, but, you know, all within a positive realm. So whatever you call that, that is my passion.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like passion and purpose are two different things, but it sounds like your passion is also your purpose.
I mean, sometimes they can't intertwine, but I do think I agree with you that the passion and purpose are definitely two things, and it's great when they intertwine.
Yeah.
But your purpose could, you know, and I think it changes. It really changes on what he wants to use you for and what's happening in that particular season. So yeah, no, I think it's cool when they intertwine, but sometimes they can be two totally different things.
Yeah. So what would you? Because I know, like going on your journey, like you said, like with your purpose, it could change, you know. But what would you say is your purpose right now? What do you think it is?
Okay. Your passion can change.
Okay.
Not your purpose. I believe that your purpose stays the same throughout. It stays with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
But your passion can change over time. So if you ask me my purpose, I do believe that right now, and I'm glad that you said, what do I think that it is in this moment? Because, you know, I feel like God, he he unveils it to us in different sectors. So while we have an idea, it's bigger than what we can even imagine.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I believe it to be is I do believe that it's in a sense to bring people together, but also give people who are the underrepresented opportunities, as well as rooting for the underdog. I think there's like a big calling for me to be able to like cater to the ones, the underdogs, and the people who have not necessarily had certain opportunities, and individuals who have the talent, have the gift, but because the systems are so, I don't want to say corrupt, but when I look at just even working in the entertainment industry and just how to, as a person of color, how to really navigate through it, you got to know somebody.
Yeah.
And God forbid, like, if you don't have personality. For me, personality has really been my God-saving grace that has opened doors for me.
That's for sure.
But like, if you don't have that, and let's just say you're somebody, you just work hard, you might not necessarily be afforded opportunities, because it really is like it's like a fraternity in a sense. And I think Chris Rock said it best at the when he opened up for the Oscars that year, when they had the That's So White Oscars, and he talked about, he was like, I don't think it's racist. I think it's more so, racist in the sense like a fraternity or whatever, where you can't get in because you're not a part of this particular group. And that's really how this industry is. Like, it's not so much where because you're black. I don't think that's because you're black or because you're white, but the reality where it comes that people just hire their friends and the people that's in their cliques.
Yeah.
So like, if I didn't go to college with you, and a lot of times it's because maybe that particular school had predominantly Caucasian, So if I didn't grow up in your neighborhood, go to school with you, marry your brother or sister, then I'm not necessarily in your circle. So when you're like calling up, because that's how it kind of works, no one is really, what I've seen is they're not necessarily going on the different online platforms to find new talent. Every job I've had, I've never filled out an application in the entertainment industry. Now, when I worked in the service industry, when I worked in corporate, yes, you had to go through those type of procedures. But in entertainment, there is no like applying. It's all about someone had to put me on.
Yeah.
And if there are no, like, I've been in so many of the settings where we're a minority. You come on a set, you come to a meeting, and you look around, and it's like one or two of us. And again, I'm not saying that it's because they're racist and do not like black people. It's just because a lot of those people got into that room through association.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like, because we're not associated, we're not in that circle, we're counted out. And there isn't nothing in place that like says, hey, you have to, like, in certain industries, corporate and whatnot, they have quotas and affirmative action and those things that make it where you have to hire minorities. But in these particular settings, because everything is like the thing with entertainment settings is like they don't have to, So it's interesting, and it just really comes down to like the person. I've been blessed to kind of work for organizations and people who understand that, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of friends and people who should be working, who are talented, that can't find work and can't find opportunity just because they're not a part of the association. So, that is, so I feel like for me, that's kind of, when I look at what my purpose, I do feel like that is very much a part of it, just opening those doors. Being a gatekeeper of sort, And
I'm witnessing it, like you're doing it. Like, if there's an opening, if you know someone who can get that job done, you're on the phone making it happen,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when I come onto something, that is my first, like, when I literally, no matter what project I come in, my mind, I'm looking around.
Like, who do I know that does this?
Exactly. Even if, hell, I don't even have to, I could just be visiting a set to do something else or whatever, or meet someone at a networking event that does something that I am totally disinterested in.
Yeah.
That there's nothing there for me. But I'm going to sit there and turn my wheels and say, well, who do I know that this opportunity would be good for? Who, and like, I'm not going to be passive about it either. I'm really going to spend time like, yo, like to me, it's a sense of urgency. Like that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I know for our community that we often don't have access to these opportunities. So if there's an opportunity, I'm going to like, yo, like who can I plug in? And I look at, so yeah, and I know people who don't do that though. I know a lot of people who go into situations and like even me, if a job called me, if a job turns me down, not turn me down, I'm sorry. If I have to turn it down because I already have work, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, who can I refer this opportunity to?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just gonna like, okay, well, I'm unavailable and keep going. No, I'm like, can I send you names? You know, and I've had friends who've done that for me. And I feel like that more of us have to do that. Like it has to be a priority. It can't be something that we do sometimes. It should be something that is literally embedded in our DNAs. And that's the only way that us as a community are going to get these opportunities.
Yeah, because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
That's dope. So now that you're where you're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know that it wasn't a straight shot.
Yeah.
You know, so can you tell us a little about like your journey and some of the hiccups? And because I know like you've always had a vision of where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
But it probably took longer than you wanted, possibly, and it didn't go the way you wanted. So what were some of your struggles?
Woo. Man, I think you know, as if I remember at my most recent job, the most recent show that I worked on, I remember one of the girls, we'll have conversations, and she would just like hear me talk about certain things. She was like, man, it's so interesting to hear about you and your different lives. And that's how I feel like. I feel like I've like lived several lives. For me, I would say it's some of the struggles have been, at first, it really was the association thing because I didn't know anybody. You know, I didn't have any family. I didn't have any cousins in the entertainment industry. I didn't have, anybody that I was connected with from college that necessarily was doing things because I was a business major. I wasn't a communications major. So like, that was the first thing, was just like wanting to be on the inside, but having no association or attachment to anybody on the inside. Mm-hmm. So trying to figure that thing out, knocking on doors, being a stranger to everyone, and then and then that is challenging because when you're a stranger, then you got to build people's trust. And so even though you might come with the best intention, people are still sizing you up as if, you just like, who are you?
Yeah.
So I think kind of breaking down that barrier where it's like, yo, I'm a good guy. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is fear. Fear has been I've learned that fear is probably, was one of the biggest hurdles I had to climb. Like I remember it took me fear to build up enough to move from one to leave Nashville and go to Atlanta, to leave a corporate job that offered me a promotion, and to decide I'm just gonna leave it all so I can go be a manager.
What job was that?
I was working for a company called Cummins.
Okay.
And I was account manager there, and that was my like first main gig outside of college. And then I remember T, who sat next to me, and I was going back and forth trying to figure out what to do. And she said, she wrote on the paper, she put faith or fear, circle one. And It was that simple. And so that really like stuck with me. And I circled faith.
So that was the moment that like got you to take the leap?
Yeah, that was the moment. So, made that decision to move to Atlanta. And then it was I was there for 2 years, but within within the first 3 months, I knew that I was supposed to move to LA. Like it was plain and simple. It's like interesting. It's like once you start the journey, then God continues to like push you more and more. And it's like where you thought in your mind, from your perspective, that this was it. I just got to do this. No, that was just to get you out there. That was just the first, because God knew that if he showed you where you got to go, that from where you are, you wouldn't even move.
Yeah.
That would just be like, this too much. Like we get stepping out on the water if it's just a bank.
Yeah.
But if it's an ocean, oh no, God, you playing. You got, so I think that was for me, it was making that step to move. And then I remember moving to LA. So was going to do it in a year. And then I decided to push it back another year. And then I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I remember being nervous because of the cost of living. I was like, yo, what am I going to do? How am I going to go out there? It's so costly. And like now it's crazy. It's crazy now when I think about what I pay for rent now and how it's normal to me. But I remember coming out here and I was just like, yo, no, this is like, this is unbelievable. Like, it was just like in my head, I was like, and then if I go back, I think when I left Nashville to go to Atlanta, I also had to adjust to that rent being higher. And then coming here, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. And then you hear other people's stories. And that's another thing too. You got to be mindful of other people's stories and understand that it's their story. It's not your story.
Yeah.
And know that you have your own relationship with God and you have your own story, your own journey. And just because it happened like that for them does not mean it'll happen like that for you. So that was something too that I had to be mindful of, because you hear so many horror stories. You hear stories about it didn't work out for people, roommates, and people got blah, 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 blah. So for me, I made that step, and I remember being prepared when I finally decided. Like this was so great. I remember like I was working for Verizon, that I got the job like maybe 7 months before I decided to move, and I was like, great, I can stack up money and I can transfer it out. Came time to transfer, I didn't hear anything from the division about transferring, but I still put in my letter. I was like, yo, I'm doing this. I'm moving regardless. The homie, my brother who lived in Texas, supposed to move out here with me. He started like back paddling and I hadn't like heard from him. And I actually moved my date back to fit his date to move. Yeah. And we were going to do this thing and get an apartment and stuff like that. And so I was like, I'm not stopping. I'm going to make the move. And I was just, at that point, I was just like, yo, I'm determined. I'm going. Like nothing is stopping me, period. I remember my letter that I wrote, my letter of resignation. I remember it was just basically like, yo, I enjoy being here. You know, this is my last day. If I do get the transfer, then I'm going to be happy to continue with the company, and I'm looking forward to it.
And if not, you're still out.
It was a great time. It was a great time, and I thank you for it. But I remember, like, so my last day came. I finally got an interview 3 days after my last day, and there was an interval of like 2 weeks where I did some traveling before coming to LA. So I remember I went back home to Detroit first, and then I remember interviewing, and I will never forget, the district manager was like, yo, who are you? She was like, you already quit? Like, how do you do that? She was like, first of all, you can't just think that you're going to get a transfer here. There have been people who've been waiting for years to transfer to SoCal. SoCal is one of the top markets of the world for Verizon, and it's very competitive, and you just can't think you're going to be able to transfer, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, the transfer happened. I didn't even have enough days. I don't know how they made it work, but I still got paid. I was able to gave myself a 2-week time to get over to LA. And by the time I got to LA, I think I started like the first day I got there, I had to start working. But like, it all worked out. And then I thought I was going to, going back to fear. I was fearful of having a place to stay. The place that I put a deposit on, I did not get approved for. So they sent me my deposit back. I remember having some friends that they did it and they were living in a hostel. And so I had prepared my mind to live in a hostel. Like I was like, and I think that's the thing with fear, is like we have to like embrace. I think for me, I can't speak to anybody else, but I embrace myself for the worst. Mm-hmm. And then I don't look at it as the worst. I just look at it like, yo, this is what I gotta do. Yeah. But I know I can do that. And so I was prepared for that, and end up having some family friends come out of nowhere who was like, yo, you can stay with us for free. Don't worry about nothing. And I came out and it was amazing. Like the hospitality was incredible. The job was right by where I live. It's incredible. Like, this is not my family. This is my people. Yeah. But like, I didn't foresee that coming. But going back to what you say is fear, for me, it's definitely overcoming moments like that. And then, I remember my second year in LA, I had another experience with fear. My job, so I left Verizon. I had a year I was like, yo, okay, I'm gonna do Uber. And I also was doing like my master's online. So I was like, okay, cool. Uber get me through. And also at that time, if you refer people, they was giving you like $1,000 per a referral for getting people who drove, like, let's say they drove for Lyft and you brought them over to Uber. So that was a hustle. So like I did that. And literally around June, my engine on my car messed up.
June of which year?
Of 2015. And I started panicking because I was like, yo, after I paid for the car I got into an accident. Two things happened. I got into an accident and had to get it fixed. I had to go in my savings and pay like $800 to get it fixed, which at the time was a lot. And so next thing you know, the engine on the car messed up. So now this was my money maker. I just spent some of my savings, the little bit I had left, to fix the car. And then now I'm running out. The car is not working. This is how I make money. I just spend my money trying to fix this car. Now the car's not working. What am I going to do? So I remember having like literally nightmares about being homeless. And the biggest fear was actually not being able to pay the rent. I had been so used to being the one who was the provider in the house, or who always had a good foundation of in a financial place.
Yeah.
That it really haunted me not being that. And so I literally had to come to a self-realization that, yo, like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And if you have to move out because you can't afford the rent, so be it. If you got to sleep in your car and be able to shower at the gym, then so be it. Like, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. God brought you out. He didn't bring you this far to leave you. Like, so once I literally just let go, when they say let go and let God, I really did. Like, I was having nightmares about this. It was haunting me. It was literally bringing me down. And then I literally came to the point where, like, yo, okay, I have to pivot now. I'm not at the place I used to be financially. I have to accept this new particular space that I'm in and deal with it instead of trying to control. I think that's that's the problem so many of us do. We try to control the situation. We spend so much time trying to hold on to something and fight so hard that we forget that, yo, there's peace in just letting go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to fight, but sometimes you got to let go and let God. So once I literally let go and was like, yo, I'm going to do the best I can. If I don't have it, I don't have it. And I'm not afraid. It was like, yo, I was flying. I was free. When I said I was free, it was just like now I'm not afraid. It's like, it don't matter what, that's the biggest thing when people come out here. They're moving so much in fear. They're not going after the acting auditions that they came here for because they're fearful to, lose this particular job because they feel like they come out here and they're now spend more time working these jobs and stuff than the thing that they originally came out here to do. And so once I got to a point that I was like, yo, I'm in, I was good. Like a month later, around that same time, I got a call for the first production job. And literally the next one, and it was just out of nowhere. Guy I met in Atlanta who was not a showrunner, but a coordinator. He needed someone. I did that show. After that show, I didn't know what was next. I was like, okay, this will get me over for a month. I don't know what's going to happen next. They call me again. Then they call me again. And it took me about the fourth or fifth call where I realized, like, okay, they're going to keep calling you.
Yeah.
Because then I realized, too, as soon as you get a little bit, then it's interesting, too, because, like, as soon as you get something, then you worried about, well,
losing it.
Losing it. What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
But I remember, I'll never forget one of the coordinators telling me, like, yo, we already had planned to call you. You were already on the board. We just hadn't gotten to calling yet because we had to figure out other things. But we knew from after working with you on this that we would want you for this and this and this. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing I remember at my job working at The Voice, with casting. I remember I was like nervous of, okay, are they going to call me back for this? Are they going to call me back? And I remember talking with the senior casting director over there, and she's like, yo, you like, I already got plans to bring you on this and this and this and that. Like, I enjoy you being here and you're doing a great job. Like, yo, this is already like where her mind was at. Her mind was that you're good.
Yeah, you're already solidified in her mind.
Like, yo, you're good. You're here. My mind is panicking. Like, is it, what's going to happen next? Are they going to keep me? Are they going to bring me back? And so I just really have to learn, like, you got to just chill.
Yeah.
Just chill. Just chill. That's it.
And even through all that, you were still putting on shows, weren't you?
Yeah. The thing of so the live playlist that kind of came out. I was working on an MTV show, and I was having some difficulties with some of the individuals in control of creative, where I was bringing ideas and they weren't necessarily being heard, or they would be heard but they went nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I was so frustrated that I was like, yo, I'm gonna just do my own thing. Like, I'm gonna create. I need to create. Like, I'm on this show doing stuff, being a part of an amazing opportunity, but I'm still not able to implement myself in it. And so that's how the live playlist just came up. I was like, yo, I want to do this event. I want to do it. Like, I had met all these cool people and stuff from MTV that can do this. And so that gave me an opportunity to kind of bring them together for a vision that I wanted to push forward. And that's how it came. And after the first one, the club manager over there was like, yo, and he's still like that today. It's so interesting. Neil, he was like, yo, now I missed the 90s. I want to do this. And so I like, okay, well, let's just roll with it. So a lot of things just kind of came with me rolling what was working. I didn't necessarily have a vision of where I wanted it to go or what it would look like. It was just rolling with it, man. So
that's so. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because I remember, like, in the opening, I said, because when I don't know how you are inside, I only know you from my relationship with you and from seeing what I see. Mm-hmm. And based on, like, what I've seen, I always say to myself that you're someone who always, like, perseveres, Like you said, like, there's fear, but you take the leap, you keep going, keep building that momentum. It might be a little roadblock, you keep going. So do you have any tips that you could give people out there? Because you went from fear to faith, right? And you keep moving. So what are some tips? Because a lot of people out there, they have fear, So what are some of your tips that can help them take that leap?
Man, okay. Well, I think the first thing is, like I say, faith. Faith is so big. You cannot do this without faith. Like, that's the first thing. Faith. Put on your blinders. Like, sometimes you just gotta put on your blindfold and just go for it. Like, you might not know. You don't need to know it all. Like, that's the thing that I've had to learn. Like, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be the smartest person. Our president shows us that. Actually, he is pretty smart. He's just not that articulate, but he's smart.
No, he's a genius in his own right.
Yeah. But, like, you have to. But confidence is so key. And Godfidence, I like that. To really and walking around with. I changed it. It's to you gotta have your BGE, your big God energy. You need a lot of big God energy. That's what you need. You have to to really, and not to make it super super religious or anything, but, like, if you don't believe in something, you need to. Like, if you want to make it in this, because it's not for the faint.
Yeah.
So, like, have faith, have your Godfidence. Like, go after it, put on the blindfold and just do it. You don't need to know all the answers. Outside of that, I'm just thinking about some things that inconsistency. That's it. Like, when I study a lot of people, for me, I study with live playlists. I study a lot of brands that I look up to, like Everyday People they have out here, or Trap Karaoke, or Colors. You should know who's doing it in your industry and who does it better than you. You should know, you should study them. You should always study the greats, and you should give them props. It's not to be competitive. It's just literally, it's just wise. Yeah. Like, don't say you want to be something and then you don't know who else is in your particular field. Like, do your research. Like, you also got to do your homework. Like, first thing when I wanted to get into music, I bought all type of books. Like, I studied the Diddy's and the Russell Simmons and the Andre Harrells. Like, I put myself into that, like, I wanted to learn. So, like, you can't just, like, get out there and do, but you should also be studying. I know for me, I can't speak to anybody else, but for me, some of the things that didn't work out for me in the past was because I would create stuff like, oh, I just want to make money. I see this as an opportunity, and so I'm gonna do this, and I see it as a quick return. And those things never work out.
Yeah.
I think so. It's like if you're doing something because you're looking for a quick return, like eventually you will burn out because you don't have the right inspiration. Because that means 6, 7, 8 months later, when there's no money, there's nothing to keep you in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it's after you get past that hump is then when you'll start being able to see a financial kickback. But you have to first, if you're not in it, because it is something that you absolutely love or something you're passionate about or you're called to, if you're in it because you just see it as an opportunity and you're led by that and you're looking at it as a quick return, then you're just going, I mean, even like the stock market. I just got in the stock market and I'm realizing real quick, like it's a long game. Yeah, it's a long game. Like you're not, I think everybody is with the coronavirus and the stocks going down. So now everybody, you can do it right on Cash App. So everybody want to go buy some Nike stock or whatnot. But the reality is that like the people who will see gain from it are the ones who are 5, 10 years later.
Yeah.
So like anything you do, like you have to really make a worthwhile investment. And I'm seeing from my friends who are singers, my friends who are actors, dancers, in the financial, healthcare, like no matter what it is, you have to kind of go into whatever that thing is and ask yourself like, yo, can I see myself still building this thing 7 years later? Meaning like, even if it's not it doesn't have any financial components, can I still see myself rocking with it? When I look at a lot of artists, I do artist management as well. That's kind of how I started. That's what made me move to Atlanta, was the artist management. And when I look at some artists that are now on the scene, or some artists that I've dealt with them and their managers over the years, the one thing I can say is that, they've been consistent with the same team for years. And so then when they blow, everybody will know when they blow, but I've got a chance to see a lot of people behind the scenes who they have literally just been consistent, building without a financial reward, without the public attention, without a Grammy or some type of certificate to say that you're great. Nah, they still Ubering and working side gigs, but still building that same thing and just building on it.
That's how you build the foundation.
Yeah.
Even like with a snail, like the snails are slow, but eventually they're going to get there, So like we can't expect like to have an idea and for tomorrow to already be at the destination.
Yeah.
Like it's going to take inch by inch by inch by inch. And that's how you build a solid brand. Like you can go out there, like you said, and make a quick buck, but it's not going to last, It's like, it's all about building that brand over time. Like the live playlist, like years from now, everyone's going to know the live playlist,
Yeah.
Just because you've been every Wednesday, it's there. And then it's like, oh, what? This person came through? It's like.
Yeah. And it's like, even, with that, man, it's challenging.
Yeah.
There are many nights that I don't make any money, but the thing is, I do it for such a bigger purpose. And so because I enjoy it, because I enjoy connecting artists, I enjoy what we are able to do. I enjoy my team. And because we've kind of built the thing to like, it serves a bigger purpose than just making money at the door. A lot of the jobs that I've gotten and opportunity that I even have now that's coming up, it really came from work from that live playlist.
Yeah.
When I sit down with people, I remember what I can't speak to is when I worked on the BET show, I got called in to cast, and I got called in to come in and segment produce on the show. But what the introduction was because someone from the network had came to one of my shows.
See?
And they saw me in action. So that's one thing people always talk about, no one gives them opportunity. Create your own opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sitting here with you. You could sit there and say all day, I want to be an interviewer. I want to be a producer. And no one's giving me the opportunity to shine. And how can I ever get the experience if no one's giving me the experience?
Exactly.
But because you're doing it right now, because you've made the opportunity, now you can put that on your resume and you can say that I have experience and you have something to show. And that's the thing. Like people have to like don't wait, create.
Don't
Like
wait,
you
create.
wait, you waiting on somebody to give you an opportunity. Like you got to first. Like so, when I came out here, I was volunteering. I was already producing on a larger scale through nonprofit organizations and giving my services away for free because I wanted to just get in.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like you have to. If you really love it, then you'll do it for free. So for me, I didn't care. I just wanted to do it. I enjoyed doing it. It didn't matter. But it's kind of cool that you make money from doing it. Now, I think it's really cool that.
Once that. So speaking of that, so what was the moment when you're like, man, I'm really doing it? Like, was it like a paycheck you got, or you started working with someone, or was it a certain show? Like, what was the moment you're like, okay, like I'm doing it?
Man, I mean, there's been different revelations throughout this. I remember the MTV Show was a big moment for me. That was big because that was the first time that I had a job in entertainment that was paid, that I wasn't just like an assistant or PA. I had a little power. And I remember even showing up on a set and people thought that I was like, oh, you're coming to PA? Because I had PA with these, like consistently with some of these same batch of people. But no, now I'm being called into a different capacity. And so that was pretty cool because in the production world, like a lot of people, they don't really move. You kind of got to fight for it. Because it's like every man for himself. Like every producer in the freelance, like since you're moving on to the next, it's kind of hard to think about, oh, what does this PA want to do? Because if I'm a director, I'm looking for my next director gig. If I'm a AP, I'm looking for my next AP. Like everybody is kind of and it's not where they don't care about you. It's like, but they still got every man for himself.
Yeah.
So if you're not a person who's aggressive and able to like go out there and grab it, then you could get left behind. But that was the moment. I would say that was a moment. Another great moment was when I, my first time running my own open call room at The Voice. I remember that was just a good feeling. And we were in Baltimore. I remember like having a PA take the picture, like just to have that, to be in a room, coming from being an artist manager where I've had some of my artists audition for some of these shows and not, again, not having connections to producers or not even knowing how that world works. And like, it just seemed like it was just so far from where I was. And so to be in that place, to have that opportunity, that was like, yo, this is crazy. The kid from Detroit is on this particular, in the room and the one making decisions. That was pretty dope. So.
And I feel like, because I know for me, with each next level, then my ultimate purpose and vision becomes more clear. So like, I'm sure like with you, like each step, you're like, okay, you have more clarity, right?
Yes and no. I can't really say that. Because
clarity on your purpose.
Possibly. Yeah, I'll give you that. The reason why I say is because before I came out here, I've always had like a big idea for myself. Like I've always been like, I've like just had some type of inkling that God just had something more for me. And so I feel like it's just really more so, I feel like I've always known. I think I just, over time, I started to second guess. So that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily clarity. It's more so returning back to what he's already shown me years ago.
That's a good point.
It's just when you get on a journey, you start to like think that, well, maybe it won't happen for me, or maybe because where you're at, you didn't get that job you went after. You didn't get this particular. I remember when I was going for the MTV gig and like they rescheduled me 3 times for the interview, and I remember I finally just was like, I'm never gonna be, it's never gonna happen for me. And then they literally called me like the next day. I was like, can you come in today? And it was crazy because I had reached my breaking point. I was like, 3 times. 3 3 times, and
Yeah.
I'm not really. I've had to work on my patience because I'm not that patient, and so a lot of times, we create problems that didn't have to exist.
Yeah.
Like we be in our own heads. So for me, I can't say that it's become clear. It's more so just returning to what I've already known and who I already know him to be. It's just sometimes on this journey you can forget. You can get a little cloudy because of where you're at and what's happening, and you forget. That's it.
So not clarity, but your faith is building. Is that more accurate? Like with each step, you feel like your faith is building more, like your faith's getting stronger?
No, I don't even feel like it's getting stronger, bro. I feel like it was what I'm saying, like it was strong from the beginning.
So you're saying sometimes
I just got comfortable.
Got you.
That's it. You get comfortable along the way. And then you get to a point where it's like, because of what's around you, like I analyze things. So because maybe at a certain, you never been to that level. So then you can get to that level and you just get comfortable. And you think that because this is where it's at, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And it took like, it took me being reminded of what I already know before I got into this world.
Yeah.
And that's where it really comes down to. It's like you get into the Hollywood industry and then you get so caught up, you start to get caught up in how people think around you or how the business moves, or because you've seen these particular deals on this particular level, like it don't happen. Like these people get this what they want. If you ain't got this, so you start to become robotic. And you lose that edge you had before you knew. Think about it, like when they say ignorance is bliss, but like when you didn't know anything, you had endless, like before I got to LA, all I could do was dream big. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There was no ceiling because I didn't know what the hell, I didn't know what was, all I could see was the top.
Yeah.
But then when you get in it and you see how hard it is and you see the people who don't get it and the opportunities and how the reality sinks in. Mm-hmm. There's no more dream. There's no more, like, you forget, well, the dream is there, but you forget how to dream because it's so much reality.
Yeah.
That's it. You forget to dream. You forget because you're just so engulfed in that. And that's where, for me, I just forgot to dream. If anything, he's more so giving me, you're now, you're getting more, when you say the clarity, you're getting more, you can see the next step. You can more like, okay, now I can see how this works. Yeah. But I've always had the vision here. That's been there. Now it's more so, okay, I can see, okay, this is the next step. Okay, it makes sense now. It makes sense. But I had to like readjust some things.
Yeah.
I had to readjust, like even my prayer life, my fasting life, like a lot of things I used to do before I moved here, I haven't done. And so I had to go back to who I was before I moved here so that I can get in that place where I can hear from God, where I can see, yeah, I get that you guys are saying that they only have this budget, but I know how God works.
Yeah.
I get how, it's $10 million to do, but I know how it works. And he showed me, this is what he showed me. So just that, get into a place where you can hear from him, you can see from him, you can be able to download direction so that you have clarity amongst whatever's happening. Even moving, I remember moving in my own apartment, how like, that became now a big thing because I was afraid to like, how I'm gonna pay this rent? Yeah. So you're afraid to jump out now and do anything else because you're like, okay, this is a lot. I get God then, but this is for real stuff now, God. Okay, like that was like how am I gonna bring that type of money if I ain't working? How am I gonna step out and do that? Like no. So that's the thing that is more. It's more at stake, if that makes sense, in our minds, because to God it's like it ain't nothing. But that's where I think the stakes are higher. And so it's easy to like lose that faith and get comfortable or to be complacent and just do what you need to do to make ends meet because of that, Yeah,
that's dope. So I'll say that from my viewpoint, and I'm sure their viewpoint, right? We see you as someone who is successful. Would you consider yourself as a success right now?
Yes. God will use you wherever you are. You can't downplay where he has you, because that's where, like, and when I say that, meaning like, let's say I want to be an actor. And I'm like, I have this grand dream of I want to sing in front of millions of people and open up arenas. But in this moment, and I want to do that because I want to inspire people with my voice. But in the moment, you're just singing background for a small indie artist that's doing a little tour or whatever. The thing is, though, you still have the ability to minister to people around you.
That's true.
You still have to uplift the other background singers and be a light. And so for me, I treat the voice like that. Like, I get to connect with so many singers and so many people from different races from around the world. And, in those moments, I can be the thing that change someone's, direction, or give them some information that just that inspires them and helps them with their career, and just to be a light. I've had people in doing interviews who, so many people broke down and cried, and they shared things that they hadn't shared to their families. And or even when I'm running an audition room, just like how to create an atmosphere that's different from other auditions that they've been on, or like to let them know, like, yo, I care, we care, like, and understand how precious that moment it is, though. Like, this person, they want this, like, this means a lot to them. So how you handle them in that moment, like, it matters. You have the ability to show love and show kindness and gratitude. And so I feel like that is a platform. It's been a platform for me to be able to do God's work. But someone else would say, I want to go and, be on this bigger platform because I want to do these same things, but will discredit where they're at in that moment.
Yeah, that's a huge lesson right there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to really appreciate where you're at and live in that moment. Because you're right. Right now, you're still helping people. You're still changing lives, and you still have an impact,
Yeah.
So that's a huge lesson, because so many people, even like me, like, we look so far ahead that we don't appreciate where we're at in the moment. But where we're at in the moment is where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
So that's a huge lesson. Thank you for that. Yeah, but Lamont, this conversation was amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Like, your story is inspiring. Just like your grind, your hustle. Like, for me, watching you, like, it helps me with my grind. Because every time I reconnect with you, you're on a different level. It's like you never go stagnant. It seems like you never take steps backwards. You're always moving forward, and like, that's really inspiring. And I'm glad that you're able to share your story. And I
appreciate it.
I'm 100% sure that you help some people with this.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Well, keep doing you. Like I told you before, I remember first time I met you, that what I enjoy most about you is that you can just tell this brother is straightforward. He's straightforward. He's not about the BS, and he's gonna hold you accountable. And so don't come with him with no BS. And so you need people like that. You need people like, so you stay that. If you stay that, man, you're gonna always be good, because anybody with real sense will know they need to keep people like you around.
Well, thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is a great episode of More Than a Dreamer. Stay tuned for the next episode. Check out Lamont.
@Thanks Lamont. Bam. That's my Instagram. Lamont.
And make sure you check out the live playlist too.
Oh yeah, the live playlist. Make sure you check out the live playlist. And we're gonna be doing, depending upon when you're watching this, we could be doing this show in your city. So check us out.
All right, we're out.